Friendzone men are rejecting the women who didn't want them.
How long did you say you guys have been friends?
10 years.
10 years.
Wait, what?
Friendzone men are rejecting the women who didn't want them. So you have a lot of guys who got stuck in the friend zone and now they're beginning to walk away. And you have women who are furious that this is occurring. Watch the end of the video to fully understand the implications of friendzone men walking away from the friend zone, how this is going to affect women in society as well as men. And now let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
I got put into the friend zone. Now, if you don't know what the friend zone is, that's a state where you like somebody. You like somebody that you thought that you would be with. I'm talking about heads over heels for this person. But you come to find out they don't like you the same way that you do. So in the midst of being in the friend zone, in the midst of you liking them, she hit you with the, we could be friends. Now, every guy, when a female says we can be friends, we sit there and think to ourselves and be like, maybe we can be friends. Maybe we could just sit here, be friends for about a month or two, and then you gonna start liking me once you start seeing who I really am. Once you start hanging around me more, you gonna see that I'm more than just this guy that likes you. I'm the one for you.
What's really sad about this is that she already knows that you are a guy that can protect her, provide for her, and be there for her. The reality is that women do this. They put men in the friend zone that are capable of being boyfriends, husbands, of being that guy. The fact is that they're trying to get everything for free. They don't want to have to be physically intimate with you. They don't want to have to invest anything in the relationship with you. Trust me, they're not putting some incel in the friend zone. Just think about it logically. You don't see what women walking around with these really overweight dudes with neck beards who don't have any money. No, the guys that they're walking around with, the guys that they friend zone, are dudes with money, dudes with futures, dudes with good jobs, dudes who are relatively good looking. These are the guys that they put in the friend zone. All right, because they know that they can use these guys to get what they want while chasing after Chad and Tyrone. It allows them to stay out in the streets with fewer consequences because they will always have someone that will be there for them and that they can go back to when at any given moment. It's basically having your cake and eating it too. And then the poor guy sits in the friend zone thinking that, hey, maybe something may come of it. And the reason why guys stay in the friend zone is because of one very, very important word. And I'm not even going to say hope. I'm not even going to say hope. Loneliness. A lot of men are lonely. Yes, there is hope. That there's a lot of guys who always have the hope that maybe they'll get out of the friend zone, but it's loneliness. There's a lot of guys who tell themselves that they're in the friend zone and they're there because they want to be there and blah blah blah. Nah, no, it's loneliness. They allow someone to take advantage of them, to use them for emotional support, financial support, all of these things because they are lonely and they do not want the other person to leave them. And that's the truth. While men walk a very lonely path in life, women are allowed to pick and choose from whomever they want. As a result of social media has allowed women to basically find anyone at any given moment that will provide them with money, food, just about anything that they need, companionship, and then they pick and choose from the best of them. And of course, the men that they actually choose, the men that they love, the men that they want, are the men who do not want them. All right, and that makes them desire these men even more. So they can jump onto Instagram, and Instagram is just basically a dating app for them, and they pick and choose from the men on that application. They use applications like Tinder for foodie calls, where they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to use this to get some guy to buy me food or to give me money, and that's it. And they feel no consequences because they grow up being told that men will just come to you. Never chase a man. Men are there to serve you, and you are there to take from them. That's basically the relationship that most modern women have with men. It's a very sad and pathetic situation, but it's a situation that continues to play out each and every single day. And I'm very sad witnessing it. A lot of these poor young men end up in this situation because they don't have guidance. They don't have men to tell them, listen, bro, you need to walk away. They don't know how to, like, for example, do you even know when a woman is your girlfriend? We don't talk about these things. How do you even know that she's your girlfriend if you're seeing a woman? How do you know if a woman is taking advantage of you? Men need guidance and they need leadership. It's a lot of times the books that are out there on dating and relationships. These are books written by simps. Okay, a lot of these dudes that are in the dating field, they're a bunch of the MGTOWs used to call these men pussy beggars. All right, and I'm not gonna joke about it, because they'd be out there begging for kitty like Steve Urkel was. Do you remember how Steve Urkel used to beg? Please, please, bro, shut up, man. Get some integrity. Like seriously, dude, you are a super genius. All right, you're one of the smartest people on the planet. Steve Urkel always had money in his pocket. Y'all ever notice that? Steve wasn't broke. Steve had to do the to have those inventions. Steve was not broke. He had money in his pocket. He had money in his pocket. He's one of the most intelligent people, smartest people on the planet. By the time he was a teenager, Laura did not deserve him. She did not want him. The saddest reality is you're supposed to go where you are appreciated, go where you are celebrated. He was in the wrong demographic. He should have been hanging around, like Science Club with a bunch, or again, go where you're appreciated. Guys, this is the sad reality that men end up chasing women who don't want them, but will happily use them for decades. Oh, we were friends for 20 years. Guys, this is a sad thing. This is a sad, sad thing. Men have to know when to walk away. And when you walk away, you also have to understand walk away and stay away. Do not come back.
One guy in New York, we were friends for 20 years, never touched him, nothing. And he was like my therapist. Every time something went wrong, I would call him and he just knew what to say to me, like to calm me down. And like we could talk for hours, but I wasn't physically attracted to him at all. Like I would never see myself having sex with him, but he was like my therapist. Like I could talk to him every day, all day.
You see, here's the thing. I'll tell you when she could see herself being physically intimate with him. When he says to her, yeah, listen, I've got other things to do. I can't, like, either we're in a relationship or I've got to like focus on, finding someone who that genuinely wants to be in a relationship with me, and I can't play this game with you anymore. She'll start to either she'll start to throw a fit, get pissed off, or she'll basically say, okay, well, goodbye. And when she does something like that, you realize that she was just using you. She never actually liked you, and there was never a possibility. So you just wasted all of that time, okay? That's how little she thought of you. You were just there. You were just there for attention. You were there for time. You were there for your money. She never liked you. She could care less about you whatsoever. When you're dealing with a girl who you gave them an ultimatum and they're like, fine, okay, and now you're dating her, that's basically she'll try to BS the whole time and try to get all the boyfriend treatment out of you without having to invest anything in her actual relationship. So you caught her. But in some cases, like a guy will say, listen, no, this is it. Either we're gonna date or we're not going to be friends anymore. You're not gonna get that benefit anymore. And if she's like, if she's not like, okay, yeah, sure, fine, we'll start dating, then you never had a shot. You absolutely never had a shot. Because this is just a scam. It's a scheme that women are running today. They've been running this scam for a very long time, and now it's beginning to catch up to a lot of them, as a lot of dudes are basically pulling back and saying they don't want that relationship, they don't want that life.
Talk, okay? If you like a guy, the absolute best thing you can do is friend zone him. I am so dead serious about this. But Nikki, I don't want to put him in the friend zone because I really like him. I understand. But the problem with liking someone is that you give them too much credit before they even prove themselves to you. And also, you don't actually really get to know them. You just like this idea of them in your head. But if you friend zone them, then you're actually getting to know the person and see if you really like them. And you get to see if they're persistent enough to try to get out of the friend zone. I wish I knew that sooner because I feel like I would have been less weird around my crushes if I just friend zoned them.
You see, guys, this is absolutely toxic. This is an absolutely toxic situation. The thing is that a woman will tell you, well, listen, no, there's not, listen, I just want to be friends, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is that she wants you to keep on trying. She wants you to push beyond the friend zone. It's, guys, this is a toxic relationship. This is why so many men have to walk away. I saw a video, I've showed it to you before, I believe, where this woman said that, she was seeing this guy and she goes, she is definitely the problem because, he invited her back to his place. She was like, fine, but we're not going to be physically intimate. So she went, they laid down, they got in bed together, and he basically was just like, cuddling her the entire night. And she got pissed off because he did not even try once to be physically intimate with her. Granted, she told him before they went to his place, she is not going to be physically intimate with him. And she's like, I didn't actually want to be physically intimate with him, but I want him to actually at least try to be physically intimate with me. And she said, she knows she's a part of the problem. She knows that she is the problem. All right. It's like women scorched the earth with M2, which was complete total BS. It was all garbage. And now, guys, you look at what they're doing over in the UK, where basically if a boy is even suspected of misandry or misogyny, not misandry, and we wish of misogyny, then he'll be reported to the Department of Terrorism and dragged off and have his human rights taken away. I mean, it's crazy. It's M2 was the first of the mega witch hunts, and now this is the next one is on the way. It's like it never really ended. It's never really going to end because this is the modern society. This is what women have done. This is a society that they've built. This is a house that they've built, and they're very proud of it. What the future ultimately looks like is a lot of women living in poverty and destitution, as more men ultimately say that they're not going to put up with the nonsense. They're just going to walk away and stay away. And women are going to find themselves living in shelters, living in their cars, living on the streets, even living in the woods, because the government is absolutely broke. Guys, the global economy is horrible right now. It is horrendous. I woke up to a shocking piece of news. I watch a channel called Dreamcast Guy. And if you think that things are not interrelated, things are very interrelated. Many of us like PlayStation. We grew up playing PlayStation. You're going to find out why this is relevant in a moment to all of these things and women and everything. This is the first generation where the cost of PlayStation has gone up. So, for example, PlayStation came out with two models. PlayStation 5 came out with two models when it released back in 2020. There was the digital-only model, and then there was the disc-based version. The digital-only model was $399, and the model with a disc, which could support Blu-ray games, playing games off disc, was $500. Sony refreshed the entire thing last year, back in 2023, and it came out with a new slimline version of PlayStation 5s. So they're basically slimmer. The crazy thing is that the price actually went up for the digital-only model. So it went up by $50. So it went from $399 to now $450. That's for the model without a disc. Not only that, in many countries around the world, Sony also raised the price of the base model. So for the digital version and the disc-based version by around $50. So it went up to like $450 in many countries prior to that. So now the version that costs $450 in the US, that's $500 in some other countries, and the version that costs $500 in the US, that's $550 in some other countries. I woke up to this shocking detail today that Sony is raising the price again of the PlayStation 5 in Japan. How much are they raising it by? By $90. $90. They're going to be raising the price by $90. It's an extraordinary amount of money. And I'm thinking to myself, how could such a thing actually happen? How could they pull this off where the cost is going up by almost $100? What this tells us about the economy and the global economy and the greedflation that we're seeing right now is that things are only going to get absolutely worse. People are living off credit right now. And while people are living off credit, most women are living off the simp economy. And the simps don't have that kind of money to hold things down anymore. All right. So you have women who are putting out these toxic videos online. You have the simps like Papa Meat who are attacking passport kings for going overseas, calling them incels when this dude looks like King Incel himself. And, women are living off the simp economy thinking that it's never going to come to an end. When the reality is that the simp economy is moving overseas, and even in countries like China, the simp economy has crashed. Women are finding themselves in extraordinary amounts of poverty trying to live off men, because their parents can't take care of them either. And the reality is that many of them are going to be going to be in extreme poverty and destitution in the coming years. They don't, guys, these things kind of go in like 100-year cycles. There was a big health emergency back in like 1919, 1920. And look at what happened in 2020. We had a big health-related emergency that year as well. And again, I know how many of you feel about that. But when did the stock markets crash? Back in 1929, that was the beginning of the Great Depression. All right, we are almost in 2025 at this point, and we'll be basically we're 4.5 years from 1929. Again, these things go in cycles. It doesn't really matter who wins the next election. The reality is that no matter who wins the next election, we're all still going to end up being screwed. And thinking that we can come out of this and have a soft landing, which is the garbage that Biden was saying for years, is total crap. 45% of women, and I'm banking it's going to be more than that, 45% of women are going to be childless and single come 2029. That is the current projection. All right. But keep in mind that does not include women who are going to be single moms. When you factor those women in, we're looking at around 70 to 90% of women. But I honestly think that it's going to be higher than that even. All right. Because so many men are walking away from relationships. Women don't understand what they've actually done. There's not going to be a bailout plan. A lot of you are like, a woman will always be able to find a simp to take them in. Guys, if there's so many simps on my damn channel, there are so many simps in the manosphere. And why are there so many simps in the manosphere? There's so many simps in the manosphere because they have nowhere else to go. The reality is that women have pushed men out of society, and tyranny is running wild right now. Women are not going to have anyone to turn to. The government does not have that kind of money. Universal basic income is not sufficient to provide for a person. This garbage that Elon Musk is speaking of, where we're going to have a universal high income and working is going to be optional, is a load of bullshit. With the way that prices and cost of living is rising, can you imagine the notion of being given $20,000 checks to not work? Because guys, think about where rent prices are right now. If you live in somewhere like New York, just to rent an apartment, people are spending $3,500 minimum to even $5,000 a month just to be someone's roommate. All right, in places like New York, in places like California, like San Diego and LA, so you're like, oh, they're just expensive places. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, there's a lot, the amount of suffering and poverty right now and hardship when it comes to renting in a lot of places is extraordinary. So when you consider this, like, we're heading towards a place where $5,000 a month rent is not going to be abnormal. So to say that, oh, well, a $5,000 check from the U.S. government is a universal high income, that's going to be enough, that's a load of bullshit. A lot of people won't be able to live off that when their rent is in that range. The reality is that men are waking up to the reality of this, but women are not. And a lot of women are going to find themselves in extreme poverty. That, even if they do introduce this UBI or universal high income, it won't be enough to survive. It absolutely will not be enough to survive. And if they introduce it, the price of everything is just going to skyrocket even further. Okay, giving people money that they do not work for because, okay, well, AI is taking over. I don't think it works like that. I'm just being very honest. If companies and everyone knows that, well, you're getting money for not working, then we're just going to charge you even more. That's how that absolutely works, because it creates an influx of cash in them. It creates a large amount of cash in the markets, and then they start trying to do crazy things like raising interest rates to offset raising interest rates to offset the amount of liquidity in the markets. And we saw you exactly how that worked out for us. It did not taper off inflation. It has not helped inflation at all. I mean, guys, we're heading towards hell in a handbasket. And when these things, and there's a lot of men who are stupid. There's a lot of you on this channel, a lot of my viewers who are stupid. I'm just calling it out because, like, I put up a poll. Would you rather one Bitcoin or your soulmate? And these idiots, a lot of you, you know who you are. You're an idiot. You watch the video and you're like, oh, well, I would rather my soulmate, because even when you have a soulmate, no matter what happens, that soulmate will be with you for life. So even if you're poor, even if you're living in a box, that soulmate will be right there in that box with you. These you guys are so you're just absolute idiots to come to that conclusion. Your soulmate's gonna be there in that box with you. Like you have to be an absolute loser to pass of $65,000, or say $65,000 is not a lot of money. This is what separates the wealthy from the idiots. Because most of you are not millionaires. You know what the millionaires are doing right now? They would snatch that money like they're desperate dogs. I talk to these millionaires. I've spoken to so many of these guys. They would snatch that money like they've never had anything in their entire lives. They'd snatch it up like a Rottweiler. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And then some of you idiots are like $65,000 isn't a lot of money, especially compared to your soulmate. Absolute fools. I saw an idiot in the comments who was like, you can't even start a business today with $65,000. Like a lot of you are cooked. I'm gonna say it like a lot of you are absolutely cooked. Like you are finito, finished. You are done. Because you are so focused on finding a woman and like living this Disney princess life. It's Disney princess, bro. It's Disney princess bullshit. You're so focused on this stuff that you're disconnected from reality and the need to survive. Many of you have never experienced homelessness before. You've never gone without a meal before. You've never truly been hungry before. You'll watch my video and you'll laugh your little butts off. All right. Thinking that, I don't care. But when you are hungry and you are homeless and people are treating you like garbage, I experienced homelessness over 10 years ago. And I've warned many of you about it. It's a horrible thing, but you don't listen. And then you end up in these states of poverty and destitution, and you want to come back and cry on other men like they're supposed to be there to bail you out. And it's like, bro, you were here. You heard this message. You were told not to do these things. You thought you had these big cojones, and you went out and you did what you wanted to do, and now you're suffering. And it's like, good, bro. Enjoy that life out there. Enjoy that homeless life. Tuberculosis is always running wild out there. Like it's still here in America. Like, enjoy that, man. When those lungs are inflamed, like, don't look for angry. All right. You were a big bad man. You wanted to be on top of the world. Well, you're gonna like, bro, you might not make it. You might not make it, bro. There's a lot of horrible things out there. And it's not just disease, it's also people. There's a lot of mentally ill people out there in the streets. I'm telling you guys. And even if you don't end up homeless, you may still end up hungry. And when you're so hungry that you want to eat your own, then you start looking at your arm, and you're like, that's meat right there. I'm telling you, you don't know what hunger actually is. When you are hungry and you have no prospects, you are destitute. Okay. And again, there's a lot of men listening to this video, listening to my words, and they're laughing because they don't care until they end up in these situations. My grandmother, she used to say something. She died a long time ago. Damn, bro. It's been almost 15 years. Time flies. But she used to say something. My grandmother used to say, sometimes you'll see people suffering and you may want to help them, but it doesn't mean that you should help them because they're the ones who put themselves there. Okay. And that's something that we all have to understand. A lot of people put themselves, especially a lot of men, put themselves into situations that they're currently in. Now, granted, that's how it is with most women, because most women think that there's always something better for them out there, and they force their husbands and mess up their lives, and then they find themselves alone in poverty, destitute, and they're like, yeah, I did this. I listened to my emotions, I listened to my feelings or my stupid friends, and now I'm all alone, broke. Those friends abandoned me. I have nothing, no man, and I'm screwed. Especially when, and then a lot of these women, they end up developing health issues. That's another big thing, guys. Like that modern women are going to be suffering with. This generation of women, of Gen Z women, millennial women, and even Gen X women, a lot of them are coming down with rates of illnesses much faster than previous generations. And they're like, oh, we don't know what's causing it. It's a variety of things. Obviously, I think it's, there's the issue, it's something that happened between 2020 and 2024 that we cannot discuss. But there are other factors, including health, the way that, Gen Zers live their lives, the kinds of foods that they're eating, and a variety of other things. And a lot of these women are going to, they're already much sicker than the boomers were, or silent generation or great generation women are. They have a shorter lifespan and and much poorer health than women who were born 100 years ago. So over the next decade, over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a lot of these same women who are going to be coming down with these, with cancer, with these cancers and autoimmune diseases, and they're going to be alone. They're not going to have a man. There's no one's going to stick with them, because that's what marriage is. And better or for worse, they're not going to be able to work. They're going to be just completely feeling like shit all the time, and they're going to be alone, and they're going to cry and say that they want their mommy, they want their daddy. In some cases, their parents won't be able to help them or won't be around anymore. And imagine when you're sick like this and you're homeless. Like, these women are going to be in such bad shape. And what's wonderful about this? What's wonderful about this is that in some cases, not all, in many cases, they're going to think back to the guy that was there for them, and they friend zoned his ass, and they're going to think, damn, I wish I still had that guy so I could use him. But then there are going to be some who say, damn, I wish I still had that guy to be there for me and to be my husband. And that's going to hurt a lot of them. And they're going to be out there and they're going to be suffering. They're going to, even if they're not homeless, they're going to be suffering. All right, guys, I suffered with ill. I was sick for so many years, and I had, even when I was just starting to come back a little bit, I man, bro, it's just been one big fight for me, and that's just the journey of a man. Most women cannot go through illness and keep on working and keep on pushing along. I get messages from you guys all the time that let me know that you have things like you have MS and all kinds of illnesses, and you just keep on working and pushing on, because that's what it is to be a man. No one gives a damn about you. And women women can handle things like, they can handle things like, childbirth, the pain from childbirth, but their bodies are designed for childbirth. They cannot handle things like suffering. They cannot handle lifelong suffering. They can't. They cannot handle long-term suffering. Men can suffer and rise above the suffering and even thrive. Women cannot do this. The average woman, once they start to suffer, they break down, and they continue to break down. And it's very hard for a woman to get to pick herself back up and get back on her feet unless someone comes along and helps her. And then you have all the idiots online who are like, girl, you can do it. Girl, you can do it. You don't need no man, girl. You got this. You got this. These same women would never open up their hands and give these other women $1. They would not give them a place to stay. They wouldn't do any of these things. Those are things that men do. So women are going to find themselves in extraordinary states of destitution, and a lot of the so-called rights that they have, because right now women have special rights while men have special punishments, or rather, women have special privileges while men have special punishments. Those privileges can be taken away at any time, and women are going to find themselves with a lot of hardship. All right, they're going to say, wait a minute, a lot of our privilege, we're losing privileges, and everything it's hell on hurt. And then they're going to notice, they're like, where are the men? Those bastards need to come and help us. It's their fault. The men are gone. The men are in their soft guy air. The men have walked away, or the men have gone MGTOW, and they're separating themselves from relationships and society. And all the crying and screaming and despair, it doesn't matter. These men are gone. And women in Western society do not know how to court a man. They do not know how to bring value to a relationship, because they still believe that no matter what happens, they are superior. Even if they are living on the street, they are covered in their own excrements. They haven't showered in ages. They're in extreme states of poverty and destitution. They still believe that they are better than every man on the planet, and every man is still beneath them, because by the very virtue of them being a woman, they are basically maybe just one step below God. And they're basically going to find what life really is about. And their horrible actions, the way that they treat men, the way they look at their views on life, it's going to catch up to them. And they're going to basically watch as men who do want a relationship. If they want a relationship, they're going to go overseas and have a relationship, or they're going to have a relationship with AI, or like I said, a lot of these dudes are just going to go straight MGTOW and separate themselves from relationships and from society. And women will say that they don't know why this is happening. They don't know why this is happening. They will even go absolutely berserk. They will go absolutely insane through other with the things they're going through, and while claiming they don't know why this is happening to them, and blaming God and man and men and everything. But there will be some of them, maybe not many of them, who will sit down and say, yeah, I did this. I scorched the earth. I destroyed everything around me. I had the opportunity to be with a good guy, and I chose I chose the streets. I chose the streets, and now this is where I am. This is the reality of it. I did this with my own two hands. I burnt my reality down. It's a sad thing.
In that time period, have you never had feelings for each other?
No, like he's been just such a great friend.
Oh, really?
So like I couldn't like see the other side.
True,
of it,
and
if
yeah,
that
that's
makes
pretty
sense.
true. That's true, and yeah, that's true.
Could you ever see her being your wife one day?
He's like,
I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's possible.
So you wouldn't rule that out?
I wouldn't
we
completely.
never thought about it.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You see, guys, imagine all the time that this man has lost with this one woman. This is why women get pissed off with the MWA community. They don't like MWA because MWA is not it's not a women-hating group. MWA is not even focused on women. MWA is men with alternatives. Men walking away it's men with alternatives. It's men walking away from toxic environments, toxic people, the things that are not working for them, and towards the things that do. They're choosing from our best alternatives. In some cases, some MWAs are also MGTOWs, and the alternative that these men choose is to separate themselves socially, financially, and economically from relationships and the state. And they basically distance themselves from relationships and society. But the typical MWA will basically say, well, you know what? I don't want a relationship. If I'm going to have a relationship, I'll go and have that overseas. I'm not going to jeopardize my relation. I'm not going to jeopardize myself. Or if I find a good woman in Western society, I'll walk away with her. Okay. But I'm not going to keep on staying in relationships with people who are toxic or being in environments that are toxic. That's MWA. That's what people are supposed to do. But you've got guys like Meat Cannon or Papa Beat, basically shaming men for walking away from toxic people and toxic environments. So this only going to continue happening. Men are just going to continue walking away. Friend zone men are rejecting the women who didn't want them, and women are going to find themselves in a puddle of tears, just like when Sodom and that other city was being destroyed in the Bible. That dude's wife basically looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. Basically a pillar of salt. If you think about a pillar of salt, what is a pillar of salt? Well, if you compare, you're basically like a puddle of tears. And that's kind of what women are going to basically end up in. They're going to be in a puddle of tears. Like I think that they took it too literal in the Bible. Like maybe she did not actually pass away. The reality is that she fell to her knees and she broke down in tears, salty tears, because of the things that she had lost and left behind, right? And that is something that a lot of women are going to end up doing. And I don't know for sure if that's the case, but think about it. That's what a lot of women are going to end up doing. They're going to basically find themselves in a puddle of tears, crying over the thing lost. But and many of them are going to be in extraordinary states of destitution and poverty because the men that they should have chosen are the men that they basically friend zone or treated poorly. Those men are gone now, and they're going to be finding themselves with, poor health, poverty, all of these things piling up on them as the world is becoming more expensive and harder to live in, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not, and as they get, as we get older, we tend to look better as men, and our wealth grows. And many of us that have lost a lot, we rebuild. While for women, that's just not the case. Many of them, once they're on their decline, and it becomes harder for them to make money. It becomes harder for them to attract a partner. It becomes harder for them to even take care of themselves, because you have a generation of women who were told that cooking and cleaning are patriarchal, so they never even learned how to cook and clean for themselves. So they cannot take care of themselves. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my new guide, The Digital Nomad Blueprint. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. And also, guys, subscribe to the Angry Guy Clips channel, where we post shorter videos and video responses, and also the Angry Guy Live channel, where we live stream. Both channels are linked in the description. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Friend zone men are rejecting the women who didn't want them. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll talk about it there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.